Hello, book besties. Today I am 18 days post-op surgery. So that means I've been getting some reading done, relaxing, trying to work on my mental health, making sure, I'm not totally falling into a slump of not being able to do all the things that I want to do, because it's really difficult when you're told to relax, stay calm. You can't lift more than 10 pounds, don't clean, don't vacuum. And yes, it sounds like a dream at first, right? Great, I don't have to do all the chores and somebody else has to do them. But after 18 days, at least for me, it comes to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm done not being able to do the things that I want to do. I just want to be me again, and I want to be able to run around my house and move furniture and just do things without having to ask somebody else to do it for me. I'm an independent woman. I'm 38 years old, and to have to ask my husband to help me give me a shower or vacuum or reach a high glass, no, I'm good. I've had enough. I'm good. So today is the first day that he goes back to work, and we're trying to get on a normal schedule here. I have read only 2 books so far this year, but I'm working on finishing up another one, and I did start an audiobook, and I'm planning on finishing that today. So let's do a little review of the books so far so we can get back on tap. Okay. So the first book that I finished so far this year, I read on my Kindle. Yes, my Kindle. It is called Older. This book is a forbidden romance, an age gap, and slow burn. I'm not going to lie, I really, really enjoyed this book, but I do feel like there's going to be someone that comes at me if they know what exactly this book is about, because the age gap is pretty significant and that can cause controversy, whatever. I don't really care. I enjoyed the story. I really liked the romance that happened. I did like the whole backstory of it. There was character growth. There was building upon the other characters in the story as well. So I feel like it wasn't just the female main character building. There was other characters in there too that also had to go through some growth. So I feel like there was a lot of depth to the book, and it wasn't just all about the forbidden romance, but it was also pretty spicy. So it definitely kept my interest pretty piqued. So I definitely recommend. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was great. This next book I had started before Christmas, and I had all these high ambitions of, I'm going to get all these things done before Christmas, before my surgery. Typical me. But this one's called Wreck My Plans by Jillian Meadows. Also a forbidden romance, age gap, slow burn. Now, the age gap in this one is not as significant. This one's only 10 years, whereas the other one was probably 20 years difference. So that's what I'm talking about, right? It was pretty significant. So this one is it does have Christmassy stuff on here, and they do talk about Christmas. However, it wasn't so Christmassy that I feel like you couldn't read it any other time. So I felt like even still reading it in January, I wasn't totally thrown off by all this holiday stuff. It wasn't really insane about that. So yes, it's good during Christmas time, but don't let that stray you from reading it during the winter months, because I feel like it still goes pretty well. This one I also really enjoyed because there was also character growth, which of course is a main factor in a lot of books. But again, it was multiple characters. It wasn't just one. So I really like seeing the depth of that. I love when an author can get into the other points of views. And this one definitely went back and forth, as well as that other story. They both went back and forth with different point of views. So I kind of like that, because you're getting a whole well-rounded realm of what's going on and how each person's feeling. So I really do like that. I will say that this one was a little bit more, it's you wish men really thought this way or said these things, because if they do feel this way, they don't really say it, in my experience. Men I feel are very hard to pry open their brains and actually find out what the hell's going on in there, but that's okay. I also gave this one a 5 stars. I definitely recommend. It was so good. It was cute. It was a quick read. This is 272 pages. So, it shouldn't have taken me as long as it did, but I started it maybe a day before Christmas, and then I just flew through it in one day yesterday. So it was pretty good to get through. So my goal, if you haven't followed me on my shorts and reels, is that this year I really want to try to focus on doing reading one book at a time. I am infamous for starting 4 different books, and then I jump around, and then I'm wondering why I'm not getting anywhere. It's because I'm jumping all over the place. I'll have a physical book, and then an audiobook, and then a Kindle book, and then maybe I'll start another physical book, and I just I can't stop. And so I'm really trying to focus on doing one book at a time. I have all these books behind me, which I've maybe read like 5 of them. I have so many books behind me. So I'm not putting myself on necessarily a book buying ban, because I don't want to put those kind of limitations on myself, especially because there's a couple books coming out this month specifically that I definitely want my hands on. But I am going to be focusing on trying to read more of the physical books behind me. I also have a whole nother shelf in front of me here. And while I'm out right now because of my surgery and I'm healing, I feel like reading the physical books will be more enticing for me because I'm here, I'm in this room, and it's just like a lot more time on my hands to be able to sit down and relax and read. So I really want to focus on that. So right now, for my book club, my book of the month club I have on Facebook group, it's Pages and Corners. If you want to be a part of it, link down below. I'm embarrassed to even show you this book, but it's called What Have You Done by Cherie LaPena. I've had this book laying on my shelf for a while now, and I'm so disappointed because usually when she has a book come out, I read it like immediately as soon as I get it. But like I said, crazy space cadet mind lately. And also my rabbit ate the freaking cover. Like literally the irony, what have you done? And my rabbit, that's pretty much what I said to her. Like, what have you done? She freaking ate the book. I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm still going to freaking keep it the way it is. And I'm going to read this book. So this is my book of the month pick. So I will be reading this for January. But before I start this one, I have an audiobook. I can't remember who it's by. It's by this author named David, and it's called, I think, Look Closer. I'll have to put it down below because I can't remember exactly. But I'm like 40% into that one, so I want to finish that one today, and then that way I can start the Cherie LaPena, hopefully today as well, like maybe tonight, depending on how things go. But also, in between all this interim, right, after I just said I want to read one book at a time, I also have this book that I've been reading for a couple of months, and it's more of a self-help book. And so when I was actually talking to my therapist, I was trying to read this book like I would any other book, like a fiction book, right? You read it back to back and all the time. But it turns out that this book is so heavy, and I was starting to get so upset, and it was like actually interrupting my healing because I was like pressuring myself to read the book, but it's so heavy on the topics. My therapist was like, hey, you need to treat this more like a textbook and not one of your regular fiction books, because this is like about healing and your mental health and your self-care. And so I do have to start treating this book more of an informational text and not just like a fun fiction text. So I will say that even though this book, I still consider like a book and it's on my GOODREADS and things, I'm still going to be reading this, but more as like a textbook, because it is really important for me to finish, but also I need to take it slow. But this book is called What Happened to You, and it's conversations on trauma, resilience, and healing. It's with Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And so it's very much conversational, like it says, back and forth. It's Oprah and the doctor talking about all different kinds of trauma and things that happen in people's lives and how we deal with it as a society, how people, represent their children and their families after they've gone through trauma, and how we can heal ourselves so that we don't keep making this a generational thing. There's a lot of different, like, contexts in this book, and it's so good. And as much as like I want to finish it because I hate the lingering book on my GOODREADS, I'm also using this book as a tool to help me bridge the gaps, and even maybe just understanding more of like my trauma and things in the past. And I don't want it to hold me back. Last year ended up being, I thought it was going to be my year of like, okay, I'm moving on. I've got things going on. I've got passion projects in my head, and I want to do all these things. And then it turned out a major event happened, which led me to a whole healing journey that I thought I would never actually go on. I thought I was going to keep it deep rooted and buried in me forever. And life had different plans for me. And so it ended up being a really huge healing year last year for me, instead of being able to focus on more of my passion projects, because it was like detrimental to my growth as a human. I had kept a secret for a very long time. I didn't actually plan on talking about this today, but whatever. I needed that healing. And so this is when I found this book, and it's more about me understanding now just because you went through something, or a lot of things in my case, it doesn't mean you have to let that hold you back and think about it all the time and, keep holding those things against people that are around you and your family and whatever, because like it's in the past. I can't go back. I can't change anything. I can't not talk about it or not say anything about it. It's already done and out there. So really what I just want to move forward is maybe understanding how it maybe affected me even more than I thought before, so that I can plan to make plans for myself in the future of not being so depressed or anxious or, not treating my emotions in a regulated way. And so for me now, it's more about just learning how to recognize and understanding those feelings and then moving on without totally, disrupting my whole life and everything else that I want to have going on in it. So this will be something that I'm working on reading and finishing up. But if you have any kind of trauma in your life, or maybe someone that has had trauma in your life and you're having a hard time understanding them and why it's maybe taking so long for them to get over something, or I don't understand how they're feeling, or why are they always sad and depressed, like I feel like this is good for everybody. This is something that helps explain things to people, because when you're on the outside and you don't understand like why somebody's grieving so long, it can be really confusing to you, because you're just like, well, just get over it already. Not that you would ever say that, but you may be feeling that. And it's so much more than that. Sometimes you can't just get over it. As much as I would like to get over it, it can't. It doesn't work like that. So I highly recommend so far. I will always keep this on the recommendation list. But I probably won't talk about it again on here. So when I finish. It will be on my Goodreads. But I just wanted to throw that out there too, because I'm also a big advocate for mental health. And I just feel like reading all the fun books that I do like to throw in a couple of self-helps and audio biographies, because I feel like you end up learning a lot from other people's lives and what they've gone through. And it's just such a fun way to relate to other people and say, wow, if they went through that and I went through my stuff and like they're still doing their thing, like we can all make it work. So specifically, I don't know why, I've read a lot of autobiographies that are very, very great. But for some reason, Viola Davis, her autobiography, I can't get it out of my head. I read it almost a year ago to the day, actually, because I read it last January. And her story really stuck with me. I feel like there's a lot of similarities, and just like the way she felt and the things she went through. And I just can't get her out of my head, because for her to put out the things that she put out there into the world and to let everybody know what she went through is just... I have no words, as you can see, like literally no edits. Like I have no words. Like I'm so proud of her and inspired by her, and I feel encouraged by her, and it's just amazing. So I just feel like autobiographies are a great way for you to find out that there's a lot of people going through a lot of different things, and we're human at the end of the day, and we all go through stuff. And we just have to support each other and move on, right? That's all we can do. Oh, I read a really great quote the other day, and I can't remember what it was, but it says something like, instead of saying we only have one life to live, we only have one time to die. We have every day to live. That was like, whoa, mind shift, right? We only die once, but we live every single day. So let's make the most of our days, right? That's how I want to view it. So that's where I'm at book-wise, mental health-wise. I feel like I've done all the check-ins now. And today is like the first day of like getting back on schedule. So I want to go ahead, do that. So I wanted to make this video, come back to my community. I want to be here and support you in reading and in lifestyle and mental health and all those things. So if you have any questions for me, I'm pretty much an open book. So drop them down in the comments below. If you want to join the reading group, because I'm really going to be focusing on that this year, that will also be in the link below. All the links to anything that you want are down below. And I just want to say, have a great day. I hope I've inspired you in some way, and just take some time to be grateful today for the things that you have in your life. It can be anything. There's no number of things. There's no like, oh, you have to have 3 things that you're grateful for every day and write them down in journal. Just right here as you're sitting with me, think about one thing that you're grateful for and move on. Just be excited about life and don't let things get you down. Okay? All right, great.